Hello. Welcome to yet another episode of In Front of Wooden Panels. I'm your host, Miikka J. Lehtonen, and we are joined here today by Vilma Viiala, who is CEO of a startup currently in stealth mode. Welcome. No.
Almost.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so business designer, consultant at D11, former head of business development at Work Retail, and then former head of program at Kiwas Accelerator.
Correct. Yes.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So you've been studying in the IMDb program.
The IDBM, yes.
Okay, thank you. How did you hear about it?
Actually, I studied in Aalto when Aalto was created in 2010. And I immediately applied when I was finishing my bachelor's in 2011. But the first time around, I was not one of the selected ones. So I applied again in 2015 because a lot of my friends actually from my bachelor's studies had also studied IDBM in between. And their stories just inspired me so much that I decided to apply again. And then it worked out.
Okay, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
So let's talk a bit about your background.
Mm-hmm.
What have you done in the past?
What have I done in the past? I have a quite international background. I've lived in 7 countries, I believe, and finished my high school in Germany and then came to Finland to study IDBM. And in between my master's and my bachelor's, I've been working in the retail industry for 5 years. Opening a few stores in Central Europe and working in administrative and management positions in retail companies.
Wow.
That's my background.
That's pretty impressive.
Thanks.
And so today we are talking about kind of making a nice segue here. Project planning and design briefs.
Okay.
Because you've been working a lot with this kind of issues and you have seen them in the past as well. So what makes a good brief or what makes a good plan?
I believe a good brief is first getting to know who are all the different stakeholders within the project. So thinking back to the industry project, for instance, during my studies, I thought it was really important to first find out what are the expectations, the real MVPs, so to say, for the different stakeholders. So for the client, for the team, what was the win? Was it a learning? Was it a good solution, a new product, a new service? What is the actual expectations that we're setting? And then around that, create the different metrics, I guess, and how is it evaluated from both parties? So I believe having a very thorough brief and finding out the backgrounds first is what helps set correct expectations and then being able to evaluate it afterwards.
How do you search? Like, how do you do the background research?
Getting to know the people and then just asking questions. For instance, we would ask our client questions in terms of what do they expect from us as a team? What do they expect from this project? What would be a win for them? So just finding out, and also educating them on what we're actually doing, because I think, especially in the industry project, the client really didn't have that much of information about the program and what we're capable of. So just telling them first, this is what we can do. This is what we want to do. And then finding out if that's also something that they are looking for. So it's really just having conversations and then having lunches, getting to know them on the personal level too. I think that's also important.
I see. What kind of, you mentioned lunches.
Yeah.
What kind of food did you eat?
I remember once we went to a hotel buffet. So that was quite fancy. They invited us to come along and have lunch with the main team from the client company. What food did I have? Probably lots of vegetables. That's kind of my thing. So whatever the buffet was serving.
Fantastic. What about bad plans? Have you ever encountered any bad plans?
I'm sure I've encountered many bad plans. that's the only way to learn to make good plans is to have bad plans first. But what could be an example for a bad plan? I guess really just basing expectations and the metrics for the plan on assumptions, that I would say is a bad plan. If you don't really know exactly, but you're just assuming and not reevaluating on the go.
Have you ever intentionally created bad plans?
I don't think I would say I have intentionally, but I don't think it's a bad thing to have a bad plan at some point, because that's how you will learn from it, and that's how you learn how to make a good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing to have a bad plan sometimes.
Yeah. So you have like a broad experience of plans and briefs from your own work.
Yeah.
And also, I guess, since you are like the former head of program at Kiwas Accelerator, you've seen many plans as well.
Right.
But could you, for those who don't know what Kiwas, what does it stand for?
So Kiwas is a 3-part program organized and created by Aalto-ES, Aalto Entrepreneurship Society. And Kiwas is an incubator, an accelerator, and smaller events. For instance, Kiwas Team Up, Kiwas Bootcamp, they have smaller events that was all created last year in 2017. And Kiwas Accelerator, the program that I was organizing, is coming from the accelerator program Summer of Startups that was first organized in 2010. And so the Kiwas program is basically a tool, a mindset for people to go from a project, from having a prototype, to first customers, first revenue, first paying users. That's the main goal. And so all these different, or I guess, components, the accelerator and the incubator, they serve different tools for the projects and the teams so that they can get further on in their progress. And Kiwas, well, I remember brainstorming the name, but in the end, the Aalto-ES board of last year, they really created it. And well, Kiwas means it's the heating component in the sauna, and since this Aalto-ES operates and the Kiwas programs are organized at the startup sauna, I think that's also where it comes from. Where is the heat created? It's created in the oven in the Kiwas.
So when you were brainstorming the name, did you have fun thinking that, this would be fooling people into? Did anyone actually apply thinking they would be creating saunas in the program?
To be honest, I don't know what all the outsiders, all the users and everyone around must have thought. I just know it's really funny to say in English. So if you're not native Finnish, you don't know what it means first. And then also it's a kind of a difficult word to say. So I think a lot of people thought, just had a huge question mark on their face. What is this Kiwas?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's good. I think it's a good brand. It's a very strong brand. It's a good, it has gained a lot of traction. It's good.
Definitely. So, but you've seen quite many teams going through the program. Are there any commonalities between within when you think about what kind of plans they create and when they start executing? And have you found any kind of best practices?
Well, the best practice for the teams that go through the accelerator, I would say, is having a strong team and pulling on the same string. So if you create a plan, a project plan or a business plan for a startup, for instance, the team needs to go and head in the same direction with all their individual backgrounds and their different skills. Because in the end, a business plan can be very thorough, can be very well made and based on facts and research and everything. But if the product and service does not work out, and that is very, very likely in startups, then if the team is strong, they can reevaluate, they can pivot, and then they can go into a different direction. But if the team is not strong and is not able to actually then reevaluate and make a new plan, then it's going to fail.
Have you seen, well, these moments when teams have to pivot?
Yeah.
What goes on in the minds of these people?
It depends on how passionate they are about the idea. The more passionate and the more excited they are about the project and the idea, the more difficult it is to let that go and go into a new direction. But we actually had a team last year that pivoted entirely. And that was really exciting to see because they are still going strong, and it was a very successful pivot in that moment because they had a strong team and they were pulling on the same string and they were going in the same direction. So in that sense, it was very exciting to see how an entire team can run into the same direction basically and go for one project and then realize, hey, this is actually not going to be working out. And then they change directions entirely and altogether go into it's exciting, but it's very emotional for the team.
So what this is really interesting, like when you talk about the same direction and pulling the same string. What kind of means do people have? Documents, like written documents or visual mock-ups, or what kind of?
Yeah, that's a good question. I believe that very much depends on how the team communicates. And well, we would do pre events, for instance, where we would, for instance, use a business model canvas and make sure that they have documented their plans and all the different components that go around it together and have thought about it. So that was actually one of the requirements for the accelerator program, is being able to demonstrate what the idea is, what the project is, and showing also some research that has been done already, so that we were not taking teams on that had just created an idea and that really hadn't thought about it, but they already were required to have a business plan and have set the expectations for themselves as a team, and then also where they wanted to go step by step. And I don't honestly know if the teams were visualizing that or writing that down for themselves. That was up to them, what works best for them. But the important part is that they had thought about it and they had documented it somehow. Yeah.
Talking about, like, kind of talking in stereotypes, we have designers, tech geeks, suits. Do they see these plans and briefs in a different way?
Yes, definitely they see it in a different way. Again, that's very individual on how they see it, but when you think about stereotypes, obviously the designers and the more artsy people would want to visualize it more than an engineer, for instance. They would want to look at what are the facts, what are the numbers. And then, especially when you have a very multidisciplinary team, it is so important that you have documented it together and you are on the same page on where you're going. Otherwise, it's just not going to be working.
So do you have any methods or approaches to learn from this kind of, when teams go through different stages?
I think the best thing as a team going through the different stages and wanting to see progress is not look at perfection, not look at everything needing to be always exactly according to the plan, but being able to be flexible and seeing the big picture. So coming together as a team, working together as a team, and reevaluating and working together to create that path is really, really important. So there's not you create one plan and then you follow through and until the end. There's going to be a lot of iteration going on, and there will be a lot of changes. So you need to have a flexible mindset for that. And I think that's the most important part is understanding that as a team, and then being able to develop it further on the go.
Yes. You mentioned kind of this cycle of iterations.
Yeah.
Previous versions, do you recycle them? Do you pitch them to other people afterwards?
The old plans?
Yeah.
I think only if you talk about the learnings. I would say then you can talk about, okay, this was the plan that we had in the beginning, and now we have changed and developed it into this plan. And then it's nice to see the progress. It's nice to see where and how things have been developing. So I think in those moments, you have to also look at the old plans to see the progress. But otherwise, I wouldn't say I would pitch an old plan necessarily.
So when we talk about plans, and well, with startups we have unicorns, something really special. What is your dream plan, or have you actually kind of executed that already, or like what is like the
What is my dream plan? So if you create a plan, what would that include?
Yeah, like plan of all plans where everything fits together.
Ooh. That's a tough one. I don't know if there's such a thing as a dream and a perfect plan. But I think the best plans happen when you don't sit down to make a plan. But it comes from a conversation and it turns into, wow, this is amazing, let's write it down. I think the best, for instance, dinners and meetings with friends are the ones where I can see either one of us pulling out a notebook and then starting to write down and taking notes. And that's where the best plans are created, I guess. And it's always very project-based. So, for instance, I had a business idea with a friend. We got so excited about it that we went to our Google Drives and then we made Excel sheets and we started just documenting all these ideas and then the different stakeholders, and it just came naturally. And there was so much motivation behind that it turned out to be a really great plan. And then according to the project, we just picked different components like a business model canvas, like even just Excel sheets, and just, filling it all together into a package. Yeah.
Sounds wonderful. So, summing up, 3 words describing plans, or keywords for planning and briefing and setting the scene.
3 words. Ooh. I would say like the minimum valuable product, the MVP, a common direction. Those are 2 words, but I'll count it as 1. And flexibility.
Thank you so much, Vilma.
Thank you.